and today we'll be talking about the blood supply of the gastrointestinal tract as well as its venous drainage. So we'll start off with the abdominal aorta, which, as you know, is a continuation of the thoracic aorta, and it extends from T12 to L4, okay? And at the level of L4, it will split into right and left common iliac arteries, okay? Now, in order to visualize which vessels come off at which level, I would advise you to divide it into basically 4 quadrants, like that. Okay, so we have T12, L1, L2, L3, and L4, right? Now, at the level of T12, there is a so-called celiac trunk coming out. Celiac trunk. We also have 2 branches. One is the inferior phrenic, which provides blood supply to the diaphragm, and then we also have the superior suprarenal artery, which of course provides a blood supply to the superior part of the suprarenal gland. At the level of T12, there is also the middle suprarenal artery coming off. And then also, as you can see those vessels, let's say this is the left side and this is the right side, those vessels are also present on the right side, okay? So they're present on both sides. I'm just not going to draw them. Then at the level of L1, we have the superior mesenteric artery, and we also have the renal artery. The renal artery will give off a branch, which is the inferior suprarenal. Okay, and at this level, between basically at approximately L2, let's say, there is the gonadal arteries coming off the aorta. So those are the gonadal arteries. And then at the level of L3, we have the inferior mesenteric artery. Okay, so this is just an overview of the abdominal aorta. And now I'm going to go through each single one of them and their branches. So we'll go through the celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery, and inferior mesenteric artery. Okay. So we're going to start with the celiac trunk. The celiac trunk, as I said, is at T12. Okay. And again, celiac trunk. Now, the celiac trunk has 3 main branches. It has the splenic artery, which is literally like this. It has a very tortuous course, and it provides the blood supply to the spleen. Okay, so this is the spleen, and this is the splenic artery. From the splenic artery, we also have some branches, which are the short gastric arteries. Okay, those ones, and we also have the left gastromental artery. Left gastromental. Now, from the celiac trunk, the second branch is the left gastric artery. So this one would be left gastric. And has one more branch, which starts off as the common hepatic artery. From the common hepatic artery, we have the gastroduodenal. Just going to write on the side here. Gastroduodenal. From the gastroduodenal, there will be the right gastromental coming off it. Right gastromental. Which will anastomose here with the left gastromental, and they provide the blood supply to the greater curvature of the stomach. Then we have, from the common hepatic arteries, we have the right gastric artery. So this one will be the right gastric. Actually, I will put it on the side there. Right gastric. And it will anastomose with the left gastric. So if you imagine here, I'm drawing the stomach, okay? So this is the stomach. So the stomach has 2 parts, like for our relevance, let's say. We have the greater curvature and the lesser curvature, which is here, okay? So now this anastomosis here between the left gastric and the right gastric artery will provide the blood supply to the lesser curvature, and this anastomosis here between the left gastromental and the right gastromental will provide the blood supply to the greater curvature of the stomach, okay? So after the common hepatic artery is given the branch of the right gastric, it becomes the hepatic proper artery. And the hepatic proper artery will basically divide into two branches, the left branch, left hepatic proper, and the right hepatic proper. And from the right hepatic proper, there is one branch coming off, which is the cystic artery, which will provide the blood supply to the gallbladder. Going back to the gastroduodenal, which is this one here, the gastroduodenal will also split further into two arteries, which are the anterior and posterior superior pancreaticoduodenal. Which will provide the blood supply to, of course, to the pancreas and to the duodenum, as the word says. So, quick recap regarding the celiac trunk. Celiac trunk starts at T12. It gives off three main branches: left gastric, splenic artery, and common hepatic artery. Okay, and it provides the blood supply to stomach, pancreas, duodenum, spleen, gallbladder, and liver as well. Now we'll move on to the to the superior mesenteric artery, which is at the level of L1. So this is superior mesenteric artery and the level of L1, and it gives off the following branches: the jejunal artery, jejunal. Okay, jejunal arteries, and then we have ileal. Then there is this branch which is called ileocolic, and the ileocolic will further divide into other branches, into four exactly, which are appendicular, anterior, and posterior cecal, and ascending colic. So we have here appendicular, which, as the word says, provides blood supply to the appendix, and we have a posterior cecal, anterior cecal, which provide the blood supply to the cecum, and this is the ascending colic. And then we have another branch, which is the right colic. Then we have the middle colic as well. Put it like this, so better. And also we have the inferior pancreaticoduodenal branches. The right colic will provide a blood supply to the ascending colon as well as the ascending colic. So I will change color and I will show you how it would look like if with the rectum. Okay. Sorry, not with the rectum, with the colon. So it would look like this, and that's their blood supply. Okay, and this would be the appendix here. And the transverse colon go like this, provided by the middle colic. So this is regarding the superior mesenteric artery, and then we have one final one, which is the inferior mesenteric artery, which is at the level of L3. And it's very simple, has left colic branch, lower left colic, so left colic, lower left colic, and then we have sigmoidal and superior rectal. So I'll just draw it. So if you can imagine this being the descending colon, sigmoid colon, and then we have the rectum here. So this will provide this, this, and so on. So this is the inferior one. Now we will go through the blood supply of the rectum, and then blood supply of the rectum, and then we will go through the venous drainage. So the rectum can be divided into 3 parts, okay? We have the superior part, the middle part, and inferior part. Now, the superior part, as we already established, is being supplied by the superior rectal, which is a branch of the inferior mesenteric artery. Okay, so it's coming from the inferior mesenteric artery. Then we have the middle part of the rectum, which is supplied by the middle rectal artery, which is actually coming from the internal iliac, artery. And then we have the inferior part of the rectum, which is supplied, guess what, by the inferior rectal. And the inferior rectal this time is coming off the internal pudendal, which is basically a branch of the internal iliac artery. So as you can see, this is the blood supply. Regarding the venous drainage of the rectum itself, so we have the superior rectal vein. Superior rectal vein will drain into the inferior mesenteric vein, which will drain into splenic vein, which will drain into portal vein. Then we have the middle rectal vein, which will drain into internal iliac. Vein, which will eventually drain into the inferior vena cava, so IVC. And the inferior part of the rectum will drain into the inferior rectal vein, which basically follows the same path. So it will drain into the internal pudendal vein, which will drain into the internal iliac vein, which drains into the IVC. Okay, so that's regarding the rectum. Now we will do just the venous drainage of the GIT. So if you can imagine, this is the liver. Okay, and now the blood draining the GIT organs, the gastrointestinal organs, will be basically transported to the liver, where in the liver it will basically be kind of purified, and all the metabolites and byproducts will be removed. So how is it going to work? We will have superior mesenteric vein, we will have an inferior mesenteric vein, and then we can see that the inferior mesenteric vein drains into the splenic vein. This is a splenic vein. So the inferior mesenteric vein drains into the splenic vein, and then at the point where this superior mesenteric vein and the splenic vein meet at 90 degrees, they form the so-called portal vein. Okay? The portal vein. And the portal vein basically drains all this blood coming from the gastrointestinal organs, and it takes it to the liver. And then from the liver, this blood, which is now without metabolites, will reach the inferior vena cava via these hepatic veins. So there is 3 hepatic veins which drain the blood from the liver into the inferior vena cava, so hepatic veins. Okay, so this is a very quick summary of the gastrointestinal blood supply and venous drainage. I hope it was clear for you. Take care and stay safe.